Local News editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us for the News and Politics Hour. I've got a familiar face. He's been in studio here before. State Rep Aaron Regunberg and Lieutenant Governor candidate. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
I appreciate it. Last time we had you in, it was your announcement running for Lieutenant Governor. But here we are, I believe just a week later. We saw what happened this past week with a really powerful storm that came through Rhode Island, knocked a lot of Rhode Islanders out, lost electricity. I believe at this point there are still, I think I saw 1,000 Rhode Islanders without electricity. You came out with a proposal and said, look, I think there's a legislative approach to this. It's the public power bill. You know, it sounds, for folks who might have seen it, you know, talk with us what this would actually entail. And do you think it would resonate with Rhode Islanders?
Yeah, well, you know, I am fed up and frustrated with National Grid. I think a lot of Rhode Islanders feel the same way. And it's, to be clear, it's not about the frontline workers who have been really doing heroic work. Folks have been doing 18-hour days all week, so they deserve our thanks. But I think it's clear that the corporate leadership of National Grid was not prepared. And that's frustrating, particularly because it feels like part of a larger pattern, including the unacceptable most recent rate hikes of our communities getting nickeled and dimed by a multinational for-profit corporation whose primary focus is always going to be its own corporate profits and shareholders rather than our communities, our families, the best possible service for Rhode Islanders. And it's my belief that when you're continually getting taken advantage of, you should stand up and fight for a better approach. And the reality is a different model is possible. Public power utilities. We can empower our communities to transfer authority from a billionaire CEO and shareholders thousands of miles away to locally owned, not-for-profit institutions that are directly accountable to the communities that they serve. That means that rates are set locally, services determined locally, all of the benefits of investment and infrastructure are kept in the community. And so I'll be introducing legislation when the House reconvenes to create the mechanism to encourage communities to take what really should be a public community resource, not a means of making money for this massive corporation.
And how would that look, Aaron? Just nuts and bolts. I mean, here we have a grid, you know, at a statewide level, you know, overseeing power. But I mean, literally, how would that look? I mean, would it be community by community? And folks, it might seem like a little like outside the box proposal, but other areas around the country do this, do they not?
Right. I mean, so this isn't some sort of crazy new idea. It's a model that we have examples of working really well here in Rhode Island with the Pasco Utility District in Burrillville, Block Island. So we know it works at that small scale. We know it also works at a larger scale. Some of the biggest cities in the country, Los Angeles, Seattle, San Antonio, Austin, run their own electric utilities. So it's possible, it works, and I think it's our responsibility to step up and be pushing for better approaches and better alternatives whenever we can, particularly when folks are as frustrated as they seem to be with this current corporate for-profit model.
And again, how would that look? I mean, we talk here, we have literally the nuts and bolts infrastructure, we have the wires, if you will. If this goes through the legislative process, would it be community by community to approach it, or would it have to be, again, this? How would this statewide decision affect individual communities?
So just to make it concrete, you know, there are programs that are similar that this can sort of be seen to building off of. So as an example, the legislature a few years ago passed a program to allow municipalities to take control of their streetlights, and that has been wildly popular. It's led to millions of dollars of savings for taxpayers already. So you can sort of think of this idea as a continuation of that, to take over the whole utility. We're working on the policy, and we'll be getting it ready to pre-file probably mid-December. But again, it's not a radical idea. I mean, I think it is bold, and we need those bold new pushes and new ideas. But this is a tried and true thing that we know can work here in Rhode Island.
And you talk about pre-filing in December. I mean, it probably is premature to talk. Have you talked, had conversations with other legislators about this?
Yes. So there's a Senate sponsor who's very excited to work with us, Senator Adam Satchel from West Warwick, and there's a number of organizations that are very interested in really pushing for this as well. Organizations like the George Wiley Center, which have been real leaders when it comes to utility action. Organizations like Sierra Club. that are invested in how can we rethink the way that we set up the grid to allow us to transition to the energy of the future.
And how would that community control look? I mean, we talk about grid sort of being that, huge gorilla. I mean, they just, the operations that they have, I mean, how would the community literally take control of it, and how much responsibility would they have for literally running it?
Well, I mean, we can look at, for example, the Pasco Utility District. There is a community board that makes decisions. It's a not-for-profit based in the community that runs the infrastructure, and that has that direct accountability. So when there's an issue, it's not some CEO in another state who's ultimately accountable. It's the folks right there in the community.
Let's go. We had you in here talking about the campaign. Did you not just have a little organizing meeting to get the campaign underway for Lieutenant Governor? Talk with us a little bit about that. What, since that announcement, have you gotten in terms of response and people who want to say roll up their sleeves and work on the campaign?
Yeah, it's been a really exciting week. I was here just, I guess, a week ago for our announcement, and we've been getting a lot of positive response so far. I think there's a real desire in our state for new leadership, for new ideas, for new energy that we need in the State House. And so there've been a lot of folks reaching out to get involved. We're going to be working to build a real grassroots organization. It's always been my belief that you need to work hard for every single vote, and so we're going to be working in red communities, in blue communities. We're going to be doing that hard door-to-door work. I've gotten quite a lot of mileage on my car already, and that is going to continue. But it's been really, really exciting because it's an opportunity for me to meet and talk with amazing people across our state, and you don't know how wonderful Rhode Islanders in our communities are until you're driving across the state talking to people every single day.
And talk with us, tapped as CNN's one of 9 Democratic primaries to watch. What was your reaction when you found out that you were mentioned, this race was mentioned by CNN nationally as one of the Democratic primaries to watch nationwide?
Yeah, that was exciting. It was a bit of a surprise. I think there are these larger questions hanging over the Democratic Party right now. What does our party stand for? What is it going to look like? Is it going to be the party of the future with new ideas and new energy, a party that stands up for working people, that is not beholden to the top 1% to Wall Street? And so I think this race, it seems like folks from beyond our state borders are looking at this as one answer to that question, and I hope that we can give them the right answer and show that the Democratic Party can be the party that stands up for regular people, for working families, and that's going to fight for the solutions that are actually going to bring us forward.
Do you anticipate getting national interest and national support, especially financially? You were one of the candidates to come out first this reporting period to talk about your fundraising. Do you think that you'll get dollars outside of Rhode Island?
That's a good question. I mean, in this last reporting period, the overwhelming number of our resources and donors came from Rhode Island across the state. So I'm really grateful and humbled by the support that we've seen here in Rhode Island. If there are folks beyond, we'll fight for all the support we can get. But I think the focus is going to be here in Rhode Island. That's where this race is going to be won.
Okay, very good. Anything else after this week, after what we saw again with this proposal that you have come forth with? What we saw with what the reaction was with grid, with Rhode Islanders losing electricity, anything else that you think Rhode Islanders need to know about what you're putting forth for the coming session?
Well, I think there's a pattern. People are frustrated. The system feels rigged. The political system, the economic system. We know that massive corporations and billionaires can spend unlimited money to get the policies that they want, which is more trickle down. Meanwhile, hardworking families continue to get even more crushed by cost of health care, of student debt, of child care, of energy, as we've seen. And so, we're going to be working to stand up for hardworking families to take on what we all agree is a rigged system. We need some voices that are willing to stand up and do that, and that's what we're going to be doing in this session, and that's what my campaign is going to be about.
Well, I appreciate your coming in to talk a little bit to bring it to the people about what this proposal is all about. We'll follow it when it's introduced and when the session starts up, so I appreciate, as always, you're taking the time to come
Thanks for having me, Kate.
Okay, thanks. I'll let you go around the corner.
All right.
Okay. State Rep Aaron Regunberg running for Lieutenant Governor, here to talk about his public power proposal. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back here at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today here in studio at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Molly O'Brien at 3 o'clock had a Sandy Hook Mother National Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month, talked about that, and a writing competition for young Rhode Islanders. At the News and Politics Hour, we reached over to the border to Pawtucket, brought in Councilor Tim Rudd to talk about the transfer station issue taking place there, again with his constituents, their concerns. We'll continue to monitor that situation moving forward closely. Just had State Rep Aaron Regunberg in studio, again the now Democratic candidate for Lieutenant Governor, basically has a proposal that he said he's going to be pre-filing before the session starts in December. Again, looking at a public power approach following what we had seen again this past week with National Grid, power outages following the storm, and what he says is the ability for communities to take greater control of this utility, points to other places around the country and here in the state that there are models that can be emulated. So appreciate Aaron coming in to talk a little bit about that as well. So that just about wraps up another day here at Go Local Live. We appreciate your tuning in. Hope you're enjoying this wonderful weather that we're having out here for November. It is a great Friday afternoon. Wish everyone a good Friday evening, start to the weekend. And as always, appreciate your tuning in, appreciate your feedback. We'll see you back on Monday with Go Local Live, Business Monday, with Josh Fenton and Molly O'Brien. I'm Go Local News Editor Kate Nagel.